Good morning. I am Puneet Kaura, serving as an organizing committee member for vIRSD 2020. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome one and all to the 5th International Virtual Conference on Interdisciplinary Research for Sustainable Development IRSD 2020. As we all know that the new normal in the present scenario is remote learning. So for the first time we have decided to go virtual for this series of international conferences. vIRSD 2020 is an international forum which provides the most coveted interdisciplinary research platform to address the vital issues pertaining to all areas of sustainability. The conference is providing valuable platform for researchers, academicians, managers, educationists, environmentalists and entrepreneurs to congregate and share their findings, ideas, scientific knowledge and new techniques or applications about latest developments in their respective domain for sustainable development. At vIRSD, we are committed to provide a much required platform to recognize the remarkable contribution of academic leaders, academic influencers, educators, engineers, innovative educators, researchers, young aspirants, young researchers and young scientists in their respective fields. vIRSD 2020 is being organized virtually by Green ThinkerZ Society, India, in association with Centre for Smart Modern Construction, Western Sydney University, Australia. Now, on behalf of Organizing Committee, I would like to invite Mr. Tanveer Singh, President Green ThinkerZ, to deliver formal welcome address.
Hello everyone, it gives me a great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome on the behalf of Conference Committee during the official opening of the 5th International Virtual Conference on Interdisciplinary Research for Sustainable Development vIRSD 2020 on 25th December 2020, being organized by Green ThinkerZ Society in association with Centre for Smart Modern Construction, Western Sydney University, Australia. The conference is technically sponsored by International Institute of Organized Research, I2OR India, and the papers are published in the book chapters in conference proceedings with ISBN. The conference has the core theme of sustainable development through interdisciplinary research with a special track on free tools like Zotero, Mendeley, Wakelet, and Flipgrid. A galaxy of academicians from different research domains participated to enlighten us, and we look forward for reviving and thought-provoking power-packed day virtually. The wide range of topics covered in the conference would be beneficial to both industry and academia. I sincerely hope that attending the conference will help the participants in enhancing their professional skills. This conference committee received a large number of abstracts for paper presentations, many of which are of very high quality, and selection of papers for presentation involved some very careful decisions. I appreciate the authors for their enthusiasm and to all reviewers for their painstaking work and the time they gave to the evaluation process. I would like to thank the keynote speakers, experts delivering talks. I would like to express our thanks to the team of Green ThinkerZ Society for the successful organization of the conference and for providing all the logistic support to the conference. Thanks are also due to the members of various committees for their support in making conference successful. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the organizing and scientific committee members for their contribution to the organization of this conference. I hope this conference will prove to be an inspiring and truly transformating experience for you. Every effort has been made for making this conference a success. Thank you so much.
It's time to start our technical session in which researchers and educators from various countries will enlighten us on some key topics through their wonderful presentations. So let us begin this session with a talk on systematic knowledge management for competitive tendering in construction organization, a quantity surveying perspective by Dr. B.A.K.S. Pereira from Sri Lanka.
A research was carried out under the topic Systematic Knowledge Management for Competitive Tendering in Construction Organizations in a quantity surveying perspective, and the findings of the study are presented herewith. This is the presentation outline. Introduction. Sustainable development can be defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. Out of the three pillars of sustainability, which are environmental, economic, and social sustainability, social sustainability focuses on minimizing risk, maximizing transparency, and ensuring effective stakeholder participation. Organizations directly or indirectly affect on employees, workers in the value chain, clients, and local communities, and therefore it is important to manage the impacts proactively. Construction industry is known to be highly vulnerable to fraudulent malpractices such as corruption and bid rigging. The study highlights the need for a mechanism for construction organizations to employ knowledge to gain competitive advantage during competitive tendering. Hence, it promotes and encourages construction organizations to engage in systematic mechanisms based on knowledge to gain competitive advantage rather than malpractices to win tenders. Hence, the study contributes to social sustainable development by promoting practices that enhances quality of a construction organization's relationships and engagement with its stakeholders. Competitive advantage is attained once an organization is capable of creating value for its customers at the expected quality but at a low cost over the core competitors. Construction is a competitive industry, and the concept of project-based organization is customary in traditional industries such as construction industry. Knowledge management is vital for construction industry due to knowledge-intensive nature of the industry. Competitive tendering is widely used by construction organizations to win projects, and the profitability of tendering strategy is governed by the accuracy of tender pricing. Knowledge is important in preparing winnable competitive tenders. Quantity surveyors are characterized within the construction industry as knowledge-intensive professionals who play a vital role in competitive tendering. Owing to the complexity of the construction industry, quantity surveyors are required to furnish themselves with systematic knowledge management strategies. Therefore, the research problem is formulated under the industrial need and the literature gap. Under the industrial need, an industrial gap exists for a methodology to implement knowledge management within construction organizations to gain competitive advantage. Construction industry is lacking knowledge management systems that contractors could use to gain competitive advantage in competitive tendering. Besides, contractors' understanding of knowledge and knowledge management is limited, and the systems they use for knowledge management are minimal and naive. Under the literature gap, we found that the researchers are expected to orient towards developing integrative knowledge management models to be implemented in construction. Therefore, the research problem formulated is what is the requirement for a systematic knowledge management strategy for construction organizations to gain competitive advantage in competitive tendering. The research process followed is first a background study was conducted, which was followed by a comprehensive literature review. The data collection was carried out by qualitative interviews that were conducted with chartered quantity surveyors with sufficient industry experience, and 12 semi-structured interviews were carried out. Data analysis was conducted with manual content analysis, and the conclusions and recommendations are presented. Moving on to the findings and analysis, the research findings and analysis are presented under 5 headings. First heading, competitive strategies of a construction organization in competitive tendering. According to Porter, there are 2 types of competitive advantages: cost leadership and indifferentiation. Both cost leadership and differentiation areas are applicable in the Sri Lankan construction industry. However, the adopted strategy would vary depending on the client. Most of the time, cost leadership is the competitive advantage technique that is followed up by public clients, and differentiation would be selected by most of the private clients. Cost leadership is the most adopted strategy in the local construction industry. Adoption of low-cost strategy is limited by economies of scale, wherein the construction organizations are necessitated to adhere to differentiation techniques. Bidding strategies and pricing strategies are the respective competitive strategies adopted in winning projects. Therefore, a single organization may either adopt cost leadership or differentiation depending on the particular project. Knowledge as a key asset in construction organizations. Knowledge is a crucial organizational asset contributing to competitive advantage in a construction organization. Construction organizations attain competitive advantage via organizational knowledge rather than domain knowledge. Even though the industry is assisted by explicit knowledge, individual organizations are additionally supported by tacit knowledge at different levels. Tacit knowledge takes precedence over explicit knowledge when the subject is concentrated on competitive advantage of a single organization rather than focusing on the entire industry. Even though the project-based staff contribute to the specific project, extracting their knowledge for the organizational space would be difficult. Project knowledge is of paramount importance for a construction organization, as the past experience forms the basis to perform well in the future projects. Construction organizations as learning organizations. Construction organizations are learning organizations. Any organization is learning through experience. In order to retain in the construction industry, construction organizations also should learn and improve continuously. Error correction was another benefit of lessons learned practices that enhances organizational performance and continuous improvement. Lessons learned contribute to identify parameters to deviate from current malpractices. Regardless the importance of lessons learned, a drawback exists in the local construction industry, as the construction organizations are not exploiting lessons learned practices. Contribution of QSs to competitive advantage in competitive tendering. QSs do contribute to competitive advantage within a construction organization. QSs play a major role in winning projects, and QSs are the heart of any construction organization in terms of winning projects, and they can make or break the company. QSs can generate value in both pre- and post-contract stages. To bring competitive advantage for the organization, QSs have to be sensitive to current market trends, the competitors, and their behavior. Association among knowledge, quantity surveying, and competitive advantage in competitive tendering. Knowledge is the thread between the quantity surveying and competitive advantage. Bidding and billing, by which contractors' survival is determined, are quantity surveys' roles, and knowledge in terms of experience plays a significant part in both the aspects. QSs handle tendering in a construction organization, and in order to win a project, the QSs juggle with a number of variable information. A tender must be higher enough to get a reasonable profit, plus it must be low enough to win the tender. Hence, balancing between the two criteria is crucial, which employs the experiential knowledge of a QS. Therefore, the findings of the study can be summarized as here. Construction is a knowledge-intensive industry. Construction organizations are the building blocks of the construction industry. And knowledge is a key asset in construction organizations. Construction organizations learn from past experience, and construction organizations are learning organizations. Construction organizations win jobs via competitive tendering. Organizational knowledge is essential in tendering. Tendering is a critical undertaking in construction organizations, and construction organizations must achieve competitive advantage during tendering. Quantity surveys, on the other hand, play an important role in tendering. Quantity surveying is a knowledge-intensive profession. Quantity surveyors utilize knowledge in competitive tendering. Therefore, knowledge can be identified as an important factor of competitive advantage in competitive tendering. Therefore, we can identify that there exists a need for a systematic knowledge is systematic strategy to utilize knowledge to gain competitive advantage during tendering in the quantity surveying perspective. Therefore, we can conclude the findings of the study as follows. Construction organizations may adhere to either cost leadership or differentiation in order to gain competitive advantage. In the local context, cost leadership is the widely adapted type of competitive advantage. However, differentiation is practiced via mechanisms such as value engineering. Knowledge plays a significant role within the tender process, specifically in tender pricing. The overall project knowledge of organization and the tacit knowledge of professionals involved play a significant role contributing to gain competitive advantage. Construction organizations could be delineated as learning organizations. On the other hand, QSs are knowledge-intensive professionals who employ knowledge to gain a competitive advantage. The role of quantity surveyors in construction organizations extend across project winning and operation as well. The study contributes theory as it recognizes quantity surveyors as knowledge-intensive professionals having a prominent role in knowledge management within the tender process of construction organizations to gain competitive advantage. The study further foregrounds the need for a mechanism for construction organizations to employ knowledge to gain competitive advantage during competitive tendering that encourages researchers to engage in the respective research area. The study also contributes to social sustainable development by promoting practices that enhances quality of a construction organization's relationships and management with its stakeholders. There were several limitations that the study was carried out under. The research focuses on the tendering process of a typical construction organization based on the frame of reference that knowledge management initiatives are critical and prominent in large-scale organizations in Sri Lanka concerning project knowledge acquainted specifically in building projects. The study recommends that further research should be carried out to develop a mechanism for the aforementioned purpose to be practically implemented in construction organizations. The study further recommends that the mechanism is in the form of a framework to engage knowledge for the value creation in the tendering process of construction organizations to gain competitive advantage. These are the references that were used in the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pereira. It was really an enlightening talk indeed. Now, let me invite Colonel Gaurav Bhatia from India to deliver his talk on information technology, the utopian solution to achieve disaster resilience and ensuring disaster management.
First, talk about our cities. The data shows that by the year 2030, 40% of the Indian population would be staying in cities and contributing 75% of the GDP. We are already at 2020 today. What is the importance of cities? It cannot be overemphasized. There is no gainsaying that we need to have cities which promote a livable culture. They are tolerant, inclusive, sustainable in nature. They are economically attractive for everybody. They are prosperous, and above all, they are also disaster resilient. The current COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that our cities are not disaster resilient. The Indian government has, as a result of a very rigorous selection process at the state and national level, shortlisted a total of 100 cities all over India to be made into smart cities. Every state contributes 2 to 4 cities to this list. The map is in front of us. What about these smart cities? Are these smart cities disaster resilient? The question has a very resounding answer. No, a smart city is not disaster resilient. If that be so, what should we do? This is where my simple solution comes in, where I have tried to utilize certain gold standards available in the world today to make our smart cities disaster resilient. Let us see how. I propose that we take the principle of the smart city mission, we dovetail it with two other things: the ISO 37120 family of standards and the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction 10 Essentials, which have their basis in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. All these three together, once amalgamated, will produce, instead of just a smart city, a smart and disaster resilient city. Let us see this in further detail. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Of these, the ones which are highlighted, 9 of them are tackled by the ISO 37120 standard. The numbers are indicated at the bottom of the slide. What about the ISO 37120? The ISO standard is broadly divided into 17 themes which mirror the Sustainable Development Goals. It is further subdivided into 100 indicators, of which 46 are core and 54 are supporting. Utilizing these core and supporting indicators, the cities can be classified. The classification is in 5 parts. The city could be an aspirational city, or it could go up to a platinum level certification. These are shown from left to right. Every standard correlates to a set of core and supporting indicators. What is unfortunate is that out of the 100 smart cities which are aspirational in nature, only 5 Indian cities have been able to be certified as either silver, gold or platinum. And these are Jamshedpur, Surat, Ahmedabad and Vijayawada. Now we talk of the UNISDR 10 Essentials. These 10 Essentials together will allow us to achieve the 3 goals which are listed at the bottom of the screen, namely organizing the city for disaster risk reduction and disaster resilience after having comprehended the risks which are current and the risks which may arise in the future. The financial capability for resilience is also taken care of. Moving on, an example of one essential, how it can be calculated, is shown. Most of us have seen that the public health system in the Indian cities has crumbled in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. This standard allows us to calculate the resilience of our public health system, and it takes care of all these 13 aspects which are listed on the screen. The benefits are self-explanatory. We do not need to labor upon them, but it is essential to understand that based on all that we have discussed till now, a city will be given a specific score. Based on whatever we have seen till now, a scorecard for the city will be generated based on the 10 essentials and the measurements that measure those 10 essentials. The scorecards are freely available. They can be downloaded from the links that are shown on the screen. They have already been adopted by 200 cities worldwide, and they have been translated into 13 languages. Once we have the scorecard for a particular city, it shows up as a spider diagram, which is shown on the bottom right of the screen. The city administrators can see as to what are the scores for the various essentials, and based on the city's scorecard, efforts can be made to improve on the essentials which are lagging behind and further improve the essentials where the scores are more than 3.5 or 4. Having seen the 3 components of the proposed solution, the Sustainable Development Goals, the ISO 371 family of standards, and the UNISDR 10 essentials, the benefits which accrue are self-explanatory. It provides more effective governance and delivery of services, sustainability planning, and makes a city more attractive for investment. The benefits are listed on the screen and they are self-explanatory. The way forward, as I see it, is that in addition to the ISO 37120 standard, the ISO has developed 3 more standards from 37121 to 37123. All these can progressively be implemented to ensure that the resilience of our disaster resilient city is progressively improved and enhanced. I have finished my presentation. This is my brief biodata, and I leave you with this statement of a renowned Japanese scholar. Haruki Murakami said, "Once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through, how you managed to survive. You won't even be sure whether the storm is really over. But one thing is certain, when you come out of the storm, you will not be the same person who walked into that storm." That is what this storm is all about. The COVID-19 pandemic is the storm. We have walked into it, but we will not walk out of it as the same person. We will walk out of it empowered, strengthened, and better people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Gaurav Bhatia. Moving ahead, let me invite Dr. Rukmal from Sri Lanka to deliver his talk on sustainability.
Welcome all of you to the 5th International Conference on Interdisciplinary Research for Sustainable Development, which is organized by Green ThinkerZ in association with International Institute of Organized Research. I am Rukmal Veerasinghe from Department of Entrepreneurship, University of Sri Jalandhara, Sri Lanka. It is great honor to me to be invited in this special forum, international conference, on presenting my ideas about interdisciplinary research, especially paying attention on sustainable development. When we are concerning about this research area, it is rooted in the economic development, where the place which is having very long history. Economic development was paid by academic researchers even before the introduction of the book The Wealth of the Nation by Adam Smith in the year 1776. So well-rooted research area which is concerning about development of the economies around the world, Western as well as Eastern. A large number of research bases can be found in this field. Therefore, this is a kind of the well-known popularized research area. The phases of the research studies have been changed over the time because of the timely requirement and as well as emerging issues, emerging concerns in the world. Paying attention on the historical development of the research on economic development, especially the people like Adam Smith and others, they were paying attention on discussing about the agri-based economic development, highly concerned on the labor and the utilization of the land in maximizing the wealth of the nation. Then later presently it has come to the level where we are talking about artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, which is called as Industry 4.0. In this era, we are paying more attention on highly intelligent machineries and connectedness of the world through the online or internet platforms. In between, we can see some approaches about industrialization, Industry 1.0, based on the developments of the machinery, industrial technologies. It was appeared in first industrial revolution era. Then we are talking about in the world paying attention about efficiency and productivity, improving the efficiency and productivity. While that was the concern in around 1930s, more human orientation, behavioral orientation on the organizational and as well as economic activity settings. After the behavioral orientation, it was found that in the world they were recognizing the importance of the quality. Improvement of the quality was another paradigm which was mainly concerned by the people mostly engaged in industrial activities and as well as economic activities. ICT revolution also drastically influenced on the attempt in economic development, which was led to the development of the knowledge-based economic activities, knowledge-based economies. As an extension of the knowledge-based economies, today we are working with the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. It is highly value the people knowledge and the people ability of the people of doing things which is in more automated way rather than the traditional labor. It was substituted by the human capital intelligence of the people in this knowledge society. Early economic approaches which were mainly based on the profit maximization or the wealth maximization. That was at that time main concern, but today no, that approach is valid. Today our concern should mainly goes to the other matters rather than the profit maximization. We know that there are multiple stakeholders of the organization and as well as not only live stakeholders, non-live, non-living factors are also associated with the organizational matters. So it was challenged over time today it is not no more valid just only paying attention on the profit maximization, but you can't forget the same concern. Even by paying the same similar attention on the profit maximization, there should be another orientations that should be addressed in the economic development activities. Therefore, we are today concerning about new approaches on economic development. There are different models in the world discuss about economic development. One of the great area today is about now sustainability. In making this balance, mainly usually in the first stage they were concerning about the balancing the requirements of the people. There are some people in the world, they are consuming large volume of resources, goods and services, while others are being marginalized without having even their daily requirements sufficiently. So reducing this imbalance, inequality between the rich and poor is one kind of balance that was paid attention in the early stages of this sustainability. But it is not only the matter balancing the economic inequality or balancing the economic activities among the society is one major concern. Not only the economic development but also social matters to be developed. It is again connected with partly to the balancing the needs of the disabled or the grassroots level people in the economies by paying attention on their daily requirements or marginal requirements at least. But the other matter, very important matter again came into the appearance, that is about the environmental concern. So not only the human but also the environmental or the nature should be preserved in this context while achieving or maximizing the economic and social benefits. For the betterment of the people, we are responsible for paying attention on our nature. So that responsible behavior of protecting the nature, preserving the nature, came into the appearance then. So at this moment, sustainability, therefore, a combination of main three things. It is about nature, society, and the economic benefits. Therefore, today there are a lot of titles coming out to this sustainability, which are directly connected with economic development, like sustainable entrepreneurship, sustainable business, sustainable technologies, sustainable innovation, sustainable planning. I can remember that some people are talking about sustainable town planning, sustainable building or engineering, sustainable living. All these areas are concerned as the prime concerns in societies today. Some people, instead of using sustainability, they are using green, like green products, green technologies, and clean technologies. All are associated with this sustainability concern. If it is becoming sustainability is a big umbrella, there are a lot of concerns under that. Some people are talking about social entrepreneurship, that is also a part of the sustainability because it is trying to treat to the marginalized people mainly. So these are the popular concerns in today's society. We are responsible for paying our attention on these matters as academics, researchers. Sustainability, therefore, connected with the social issues, connected with economic issues, connected with biological, environmental issues. So these three components are connected together, develop basic sustainable model. In that basic sustainable model, it says that sustainability is defined as development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So not only the conservation or treatment of the environment today, but also it should be preserved for the future use. This basic model is presented here with people, planet and profit, 3 Ps. But the simple terms cannot only be taken as the consideration of the sustainability. When it is associated with the people, you should know that most of human psychological behavior matters are associated with. Therefore, sociology, psychology, political sciences, anthropology, all these matters are associated with the people. Behavioral sciences mainly, and psychological sciences. And again, we want to concern about the planet. When we are considering about the planet, we know that a lot of environmental studies, environmental sciences are associated with it. Mainly, the major challenge before us today is about the climate change. Climate change. So that is happening. It is because of mainly human acts. So actions and reactions of these parties are interconnected. There is no individual behavior for one party or the one section. One section's action and reactions are influenced on other sections. The third one, it is about the profit. Profit was the primary concern at that time, but today it is not allowed to the people to maintain the profit as main concern. So profit is also important because without profit you can't survive. vIRSD is suggesting that you have another model that is called as a human actor model. So sustainability is the responsibility of the actors or agents of the organization, or actors and agents of the society. Therefore, it is responsible to understand that actors and their interactions, behaviors of actors, and as well as interactions of the different actors to be understood according to this model. So it's explained about actors, actions and reactions are important. And it should understand, based on the previous livelihood model, it should understand that there are development-oriented objectives in our research and some underpinning theoretical foundations to be understood in order to develop your ontology, research ontology correctly. Therefore, this is a challenging task, multidisciplinary area, multidisciplinary approaches are needed, interdisciplinary nature is required in order to understand the association and the relationship among different actors and group of actors. This model says that it is the simplified ways of presenting the model as mentioned in the vIRSD actor model theory. It says that we have uncontrollable dynamics or the conditions in the environment, so context to be understood correctly. Therefore, your research in the sustainability should pay attention on understanding the context. The same context cannot be seen in European countries and Asian countries. You want to have clear understanding about what social factors are different, what political factors are the major concerns in our societies compared to others. Therefore, models developed by someone else may not be easily applicable to here. We want to pay the factors which are contextual oriented. And again, we want to pay attention on the institution. Within the institution, the agents of the institutions are called as actors. Their involvement of deciding the goals and objectives, determining the actions, utilization of the resources, and the activities and practices to be investigated in detail in order to get a clear idea about this sustainability research basis. This model application in the very smallholders business, analyzing the sustainability in smallholders business. So similarly, like you are setting sustainability in micro and SMEs, MSMEs in your context. This model is suggesting that what we want to pay attention while studying such smallholders, small entrepreneurs, to set that, to understand that what is their sustainable orientation. So it says that these actors are now small and medium entrepreneurs. They are very informal and unorganized without having formal structures. So it should be correctly understood, and there are connections and interconnections to be understood in the settings where they are working as entrepreneurs. And again, we want to consider about the close environmental matters like technology, security, fund availability, likewise labor force, availability of the labor force. All these are matters associated with the close environment of the organization. But not only the close environment, there are more globalized and macro level matters which are associated with the organization. Therefore, the major concern should be played in that global concern too. There are some rules, regulations, some agreements coming under this global context. Engaging in the research, therefore, in this sustainable development, you can understand that it is not easy. The multiple concerns are there, multiple dimensions are there. Therefore, it is suggested that you understand what is the scope correctly. Say, for example, there are research areas for sustainable innovation, as I mentioned earlier. Again, innovation system concept has considered about this sustainability called national innovation ecosystem. Green product development based on the sustainability has been paid attention by some researchers. Similarly, you can pay attention on the narrow down, simplified area of your concern while you are engaging in research work. Otherwise, complexity doesn't allow you to engage in a fruitful research in this sustainable development field. Therefore, first read the sustainability in broad sense and identify the narrow area. Develop your ontology by paying attention on the behavioral, economic, scientific nature of the field. Then you will be able to figure out best research model for you, and it will definitely help to improve the sustainability in the world, ensure this world will become a better place for living in future. Right, thank you very much for paying attention on my discussion. I just wanted to emphasize that how sustainable researchers should pay their attention on interdisciplinary nature of the field in doing their research work in this field. Thank you again.
Thanks, Dr. Rukmal. Now, let me invite Mr. Ensign Webgo from Nigeria on assessment of the impact of Aba Eku dump site on Telenum Triangular in Ibadan, Nigeria.
Yeah, good day everyone. You're most welcome to this presentation. My name is Nemeka Christopher Wambo from the Department of Chemistry, the Ambassador's College, Ota, Nigeria. I am presenting to you a paper titled Assessment of the Impact of Aba Eku Dump Site on Telenum Triangular in Ibadan, Nigeria. Now, this research work was carried out on this dump site, considering the level, the number of residents around the vicinity of this dump site. This dump site happens to be one of the largest dump sites in the city of Ibadan, Nigeria. A lot of farming activities are ongoing on this particular dump site. And it was very, very expedient to consider, to check, to assess the level of pollution in these vegetables planted or cultivated on these dump sites. This afternoon, I'm presenting to you a report on the soil analysis and the vegetable, that is the plant analysis of the Aba Eku dump site. Basically, we understand that the pollution of the environment with heavy metals has become a global problem in recent times. This is because of their non-biodegradability and toxic nature in view of determining the concentration of heavy metals in the Aba Eku dump site in Ibadan metropolis. Soil samples were analyzed for physicochemical parameters, and the physicochemical parameters of the soil samples were determined using standard analytical procedure, while heavy metal concentrations were determined in soil and vegetables using the atomic absorption spectrophotometer technique. Now, soil samples were taken from this Abba Ecos dump site. One was taken from 0 to 15 centimeter, okay, and then from 15 to 30 centimeter depth. So we considered the analysis of the topsoil and the subsoil. Also, the vegetable, which is the water leaf, the Talinium triangularia, originally uncommonly cultivated on this particular dump site, was also analyzed for the presence of the heavy metals. The heavy metals of importance here were the lead, nickel, manganese, and chromium. Here are the results of the analysis. The results of the analysis showed that the total average pH of the soil was 7.0 plus or minus 0.5 at a temperature 33 degrees Celsius. The particle size ranging from sand, which was observed and recorded as 92.6 plus or minus 0.05%. The clay was recorded also to be 7.31 plus or minus 0.07%. Silt was also recorded as 0.05 plus or minus 0.05%. The organic carbon content was also determined to be 5.85 plus or minus 5.6%, and the organic matter 10.1 plus or minus 9.6%. The meta-analysis using atomic absorption spectrophotometer showed that the soil was strongly and highly polluted with lead. This, in fact, with an average concentration of 303 plus or minus 36 milligram per kilogram. And this was far above the 300 milligram per kilogram, the set limit by the World Health Organization. Chromium, nickel, and manganese were within the permissible limit of the World Health Organization. The plant analysis showed that the vegetable Talinium triangularia contained 3.75 plus or minus 1.0 milligram per kilogram of lead. This was significantly far above the permissible limit of 0.3 milligram per kilogram set by the World Health Organization. 0.89 plus or minus 0.7 milligrams per kilogram of chromium was actually recorded in this analysis. 6.88 plus or minus 2.3 milligram per kilogram of nickel was recorded in this analysis, and 72.0 plus or minus 11 milligram per kilogram of manganese was also recorded. This showed that the vegetable was highly contaminated with lead. The result obtained showed that the studied Abaiko dump site was grossly polluted with heavy metals. When compared the results obtained from the control side with the results from this analysis. The control site was the botanical garden at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, where we had the soil analyzed for these heavy metals, and as well the Talinium triangularia obtained from this same control site for the assessment of the level of heavy metals. It is of great importance to check the level of pollution on the dump site. Like I said earlier, considering the number of people who consume this vegetable around the metropolis of the city Ibadan, it was necessary to also look at the level of pollution of the soil of Abaiko dump site. There are research works also going on right now that is also in the pipeline on the level of the heavy metals in the soil, which could actually also pollute some of the water bodies around this vicinity. That actually is in the pipeline. So once again, I want to appreciate you and thank you for making our time to listen to this presentation. Thank you for viewing and have a wonderful day ahead. Once again, my name is Nemeka Christopher Wanwo from the Department of Chemistry, the Ambassadors College, Ota, Nigeria. Have a wonderful day and bye.
Thanks, Mr. Ensign Webgo. Let me invite Mr. Rudru Gupta from West Bengal, India.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Rudru Gupta. I'm the Sustainable Cosmos Ambassador, Global Changemaker, and on the other hand, I'm the SDG expert of Green ThinkerZ Society under United Nations right now. On the other hand, this is my mountainous pleasure to expound regarding one of the very, very major issues upon education today, that is, global importance of education brings out a noticeable change of a leader for elevated organizations. So I'm really prepared from the core of my heart to discuss regarding this along with you people. But before that, I'm paying my extensive regards and best wishes to all the eminent researchers, acclaimed academicians, scientists, different institutional heads, most dynamic directors, and especially the very, very authentic and most eminent and renowned organizers of Green ThinkerZ Society, they who are organizing the 5th International Conference in India in a very, very befitting manner. I'm feeling really very proud since I'm one of the very significant parts of this conference, and on the other hand, I'm smart enough to share my most robust thoughts regarding the same without any second thought. And believe me, I'm going to talk about the leaders. They were the shiny asset of an organization and how they shall be relating the most costliest term ever in the history, that is education. First of all, let me discuss about a very small but most thoughtful equation, that is dream plus desire is equal to destiny. Try to understand, being a leader, we shall have to have the dreams. Without dreams, how it is going to be converted into desires? And once both the dreams and desires will be just meeting the break-even along with each another, then only it shall be really, really secured for us to entrench the destiny. So, my focus is for both education and occupation at the same point of time, where learning is the medium to construct this exclusive bridge. So thank you very much for this outstanding opportunity in my favor, just to expound something absolutely very special regarding this. And I strongly believe most of the benevolent students will be comprehensively benefited at the end of the day if I'm really in a prior position to expose myself in a very befitting manner from the core of my best educational endurance. So, leaders are those people, they who are the seed of exploration and bit of execution through their prime education, but to find out the best solution. That is what a leader is going to be signified in all over the world. So that is why I have discovered this very equation as well, that is dream plus desire is equal to destiny, which is absolutely very magnificent in our daily lives as well, because without dreams, all the desires cannot be measured. And once both the dreams and desires are in our grips, then only we may think about the destiny, which is simply round the corner. Then I'm coming just towards the best introduction from the perspective of leaders. what do they do basically for the organization and especially for their followers. They do inspire their followers. Without inspiration, how it is possible for them to convince and to extract the best performance ever just for the organizational elegance. They do guide them according to the absolute needs. And finally, they do understand the present occupational vibrance of those followers, they who are associated of an organization. But try to think how all those points are poised and what are the basic significance. First of all, learning and education. Without learning, how it is possible for a leader to expose themselves for the followers? How it is possible for a leader to inspire their followers at the same point of time? So, education is highly needed right at this moment. Without education, this journey will never be completed. And without learning, any organization cannot be grown up just according to our dreams and aspirations. That is why leaders have to inspire followers just not only to be associated in an organization, but to have the best academic elegance right from day one. Because they shall have to be educated to run and stride the organization in a very befitting manner. Otherwise, the entire journey might be absolutely unsatisfied at the end. The absolute need from the end of leaders for an organization. They shall have to be very committed, not only to maintain their responsibilities right from the beginning, but to extract the best performance and to inspire their followers in terms of their wonderful global business deal, global acceptance, and their individual celebrity in their respective professional domains. Otherwise, the bright vision cannot be compared in between each another. Most importantly, it should be definitely memorized for each and every individual in an organization that both the leaders and followers shall have to be very honest, and they shall have to have the best fellow feeling to understand the present day organizational scenario. I mean, whether I'm in a very comfortable position to work hard, whether I'm in a very comfortable position to contribute well really from the core of my heart or not, and accordingly, all those leaders shall be supporting me, shall be inspiring me, and shall be displaying the path which I shall have to walk upon in a very, very befitting dimension for tomorrow. Noted activities. First of all, the communication skill. How the communication skill shall be absolutely successful from the perspective of a leader for the followers? Again, education is coming. The concept of education shall have to be absolutely entrenched just for enriching the best organizational goal within a stipulated time frame. Otherwise, both the leaders and followers will be in trouble, and best commercial revenue will not be generated just according to our estimated time. So we shall be running at loss, which is not desirable. That is why leaders shall have to be very conscious. They shall have to be educated. It is simply needless to say. And on the other hand, the entire organizational hierarchy shall have to be absolutely prompt, speedy, and very, very responsive. Otherwise, leaders will not be able to have the prior position to draw the destined profit, destined occupational standing ever in the history. They shall have to interact in such a manner with their followers as if that is or those are absolutely very significant and meaningful. Because without meaningful interaction, how it is possible for them to construct an exclusive bridge of commercial relation? And this relational canvas will not be highlighted until and unless they shall be able to entrench their learning and their exclusive educational virtuoso. Once it is cleared, once it is approved in all the regards, then only they shall be presenting in such a way, they shall be displaying all the skills like interpersonal skill, like presentation skill, like writing skill, like communication skill in such a manner as if those are absolutely magnetic and compelling for the followers to understand what exactly they will be doing from day one and how comprehensively they might perform just from the end of any successful organization without any second thought. That is why all the leaders are here. All the leaders are here to provide the best message and the best skillful measures to the followers according to their needs and requirements. Most importantly, all the leaders shall have to have the depth of at least 2 to 3 regional languages and 1 foreign language, very specifically. Otherwise, it shall be difficult for them to deal with the followers from different classes, different cultures, different languages. And if that is so, if all the leaders are in a position to talk and to communicate in different or various languages, how it is possible? It is possible because of their sound academic depth, sound dynamism at the end of the day. Otherwise, it is not going to be possible, at least from the end of leaders, to run an organization along with all the subordinates and sincere and most aspired followers ever. The promising nature, how does it look like? First of all those leaders shall have to have the self-willingness. They must think that until and unless they are working really hard, organization cannot grow. Until and unless they are bringing out some outstanding features and consequential future for an organization, their followers will not at all be motivated. So it is highly, very, very important and influential from the end of the collective organizational contributions. Okay. And at the same time, self-belief. They shall have to believe that they are the best, and the way they are going to take the best path to walk upon and to sketch the best occupational destiny. All those are, or all those will be absolutely compelling, because all those followers shall have to understand what exactly they should be doing and how it is possible for them to contribute and to take the organization into the highest occupational height within a very short while. All the leaders shall have to have the tenacity, and they must be having the propensity to assess themselves. Because if I do not understand as a leader, I shall not be able to understand the present day occupational happenings inside the organization. And as a matter of the fact would be, the organization may run at a huge loss at the end, which is not at all desirable. Believe me, all the leaders shall have to be very transparent. They shall have to have the communal harmony and understanding, and most notably, they shall have to have the proper education and the outstanding implication of learning just according to the needs and the progressions of an organization. Indeed. the objectives which say they shall have to motivate their followers, not only for the best performance, but for the best realization, because it is nothing apart from an organization. It provides the breads, it provides the butters for each and every individual, and which are exclusively conducive for them to alive themselves in this most magnificent globe and to help each another at the time of real crisis. They shall have to plan for something which is going to navigate the proper organizational destiny. But for that, they need the exclusive education, they need the wonderful implications of thoughts, they need the collective communal harmony to work hard, and most notably, they shall have to have the helping attitude towards the associates, followers, and subordinates. Then only they shall be able to maintain the concept of time management. They shall be able to complete the entire organizational assigned tasks within the stipulated time frame. It is absolutely very, very pivotal, at least from the end of leaders, to maintain the best business goodwill in all across the globe. Organizational needs. Any organization just firmly looks at the trained leaders, they who are very experienced, very dynamic, very elegant to help for each another, and absolutely magnificent in enriching their educational glee for the wonderful organizational speeds, which is called the great occupational celerity. Then only their manpowers will be truly active, and they will be definitely able to prove themselves in a very comprehensive fashion for the most desirable commercial benchmark in the end. They shall have to evaluate their employees in a very meticulous manner, whether they are running at the huge profit or not, whether their individual learnings are ensured or not, whether their individual satisfaction is going to be secured tomorrow or not, and that is how they shall be sketching for the best organizational goal in terms of money, acceptance, and goodwill. If the goodwill is absolutely up to the mark, then organizational impact will be taking place. In this regard, the first concept will be involvement. All the leaders shall be involved in such a manner as if that is truly profitable in terms of engaging their subordinates for sketching the organizational scenario. They shall have to be involved for the administrative lookouts. They shall have to be involved for the wonderful occupational destiny, and most notably, their involvements shall be consisting towards their perfection, accuracy, and unquestionable communal jest right from day one. That is the spirit and that is the confidence which any leader should possess once the organizational impact, once the organizational image is properly incepted in the society. They shall have to provide the best efforts without any reluctant nature, so the organizational cameo will be determined very shortly. Their performances will be evaluated very, very comprehensively, and the destined output will be ensured within a very short while. and all the leaders will be really very happiest, since they are providing, or they have been providing, the best efforts towards their most aspired and diligent subordinates without any second thought. Consequential leadership approaches. First of all, community leadership approach, which means the communal leadership goal, or common leadership goal, or common organizational goal to reach. It is definitely ensured once all the leaders are truly educated, once they are in a prior position to implement their robust thoughts, not only to contribute but to inspire their entire managerial hierarchy, and on the other hand, once they will be in a very prior position to estimate their best consequential future through their foresights indeed. Then, participative leadership approach. All those leaders shall be working upon in such a manner, in such a way, as if all the individual associates are in a prior position to raise their voice, and their words are accepted at the end. Then only the communal satisfaction will be made at that very point of time, and everybody, they who are the great associates of that organization, shall have the best energy and enthusiasm to work hard right from the very beginning. Once they will be accepted into the core field of work, they will be automatically motivated just to work hard and to help for the wonderful organizational richness, which is absolutely desirable and absolutely needful according to the present day scenario. Democratic leadership approach, it is again a bit controversial approach, where all those leaders shall have the authority and their words will be the final words for the organizational elevation. But that should always not be done, because all the leaders shall have to share their best space for their immediate subordinates and followers. Otherwise, the goal cannot be reached, the destined commercial shape will not be ensured, and the organization might be absolutely in vain at the certain stage of their lives and progressions. Their vision, they shall have to think in a very optimistic manner, in a very optimistic pathway. So this optimism will be stimulating their followers, their immediate subordinates, just to work hard and to raise their voice along with their wonderful justifications. They shall be applying their positive thoughts. They shall be restructuring their organizations along with those most meticulous and wonderfully controlled soldiers, where they can have the best organizational profit in a very befitting manner. Now, the concept of team building. Leaders do somehow think the concept of team building is absolutely very imperative just in this context. That is why they think some of the points to be absolutely noted. That is participation. Every individual shall have to be participate just to understand what is happening, just to understand what exactly they should be doing, just to understand what exactly they are going to promote for an organization. Then adjustment. Every individual situation is not equal. That is why the entire managerial hierarchy shall have to adjust with each and every individual situation and the situational progress according to their education, qualitative measures, talents, and the wonderful core of team building. Then only the concept of handy efforts will be more highlighted, and leaders will be really very blissful to contribute and to deal with some outstanding global businesses, indeed without any second thought. And finally, the organizational goals will be absolutely driven in a very successful dimension for shiny tomorrow. The aim of team building, which says trust building. All the team members of a single team shall have to have the best trust upon each another. Then only the concept of team building will be truly appreciated in an organization. And as a matter of the fact is, the best business dealing will be successful and the financial revenue will be coming just at the very right time, which is going to influence them in all the regards without any further hazard and conflicts. Originality. Every individual leader shall have to be very, very original in transforming their minds to reality. If the reality is confirmed, then the concept of originality will be rousing their immediate followers just to contribute and just not to be stoppable, because the entire organization should really be unstoppable. Prompt cooperation. It is indeed very needful, because from the end of leaders, they shall have to be very cooperative along with their followers and determined subordinates. Then only the idea will be properly formulated, and the formulation will be the ultimate asset for an organization to have the most glistening occupational future in the history. Prime importance. What are those? Self-confidence. Of course, they shall have to be very confident, not only take the firm decision, but to place the appropriate plan for the near organizational goal, which is going to be truly very, very important and imperative from the end of their sustainability in all over the globe. Self-belief, as I have said you earlier, without the self-belief, how it shall be ensured our individual prospect, and it shall be really determined the communal occupational platform. That is why the best remedy is every individual leader shall have to motivate themselves just to come at front with some outstanding logics and wonderful solutions, and on the other hand, their self-assessments will be the prime focus from each one of them, just to take the wonderful decision and to walk in such a very comfortable way along with the proper estimation and measurements. Leaders' paradigm. What does it look like? Leaders to recruit diligent people. All the subordinates shall have to be hardworking and very diligent. Then only they shall be able to complete their hard commercial assignments within a short while. They will be doing some appropriate counseling, whether all those subordinates will be really fittest for that very specific nature of job or not. And accordingly, they will be providing them the letter of appointment with some great and unavoidable rules and regulations. If needed, they will be keeping them under the probationary periods of such grace of such specific period will be absolutely very handy. It might be for 6 months, it might be for 1 year, it might be for at a stretch more than a year if it is really needed. But they shall have to recruit those people along with the undeniable period of probation, so that it is going to be very impactful for them to understand whether they will be really fittest and significant for that specific nature of job or not. Advanced functions, which signify their assigned tasks, and all the subordinates shall have to be assigned along with their supervision. All the leaders will be supervising them as per their qualitative measures, talents, and acquired education. And most importantly, all the leaders shall have to do their assigned tasks as per the target, purpose, and of course a specific destiny. Organizational productivity. Members who enhance their working hours. If it is needed, leaders may instruct their followers to enhance their working hours. Say for example, they will be working 12 hours instead of 10. They shall be working 14 hours instead of 12, and likewise. Members do train their subordinates again, because this is a chain-based system. Once all the subordinates are absolutely groomed and trained, then they will be appointed again to train their subordinates, just to enhance this chain very significantly. Because the ultimate target is to reach the organizational goal along with the grand fashion of finance, manpowers, and wonderful occupational celerities alongside the judgments and consequential future. Leaders team building, which signify again the team spirit. If somebody is absolutely hardworking, somebody is truly diligent, then every individual of that team seems to be equally perfect, equally contributing, and it is going to measure the present day organizational stature, not in terms of money, in terms of their best occupational future. And this is how the cultural synthesis might be ensured. This is how the organizational advancement might be absolutely determined and significantly appreciated in all over the world. All those leaders should be keeping the same in their minds, that without the global appreciation and goodwill, not a single business shall be grown up. And if it is not grown up, then how it is possible for a leader to save the organization, and how it is possible for them to be entirely survived in this highly competitive market.
Thanks, Mr. Rudarup Gupta. Moving ahead, let me invite Ms. Violeta Penner from North Macedonia to deliver her talk on research on values realization in the primary schools in North Macedonia.
Hello everybody, my name is Violeta Penner and I would like to present my research on values realization in the primary school in my country, North Macedonia. The value system as an organization is represented through educational goals in teaching, and it's very important for future generation who will solve personal social problems more easily and appropriately. So it would be a better world, for a place for living, and they can cooperate building a sustainable world. So this paper is going to give a global view of the realization of values in the whole country, and it was carried out in 16 primary schools in my country, and we examined the attitudes of the participants in the educational process, who are teachers, students, and support staff in the school. So what are values? There are a lot of theoretical ideas about values, but we use them in the curriculum, and we have the focus on the value-based educational goals in this research. According to some, it's something desirable for us, or what it should be, and not what it is. According to Rocketch, it's referring to something which is desirable, which is right or good, or wrong or bad. According to Schwartz, it's activation of feelings at the same time when we activate values, and they serve as standards in one value system, individual, organizational, or in the country, etc., etc. And what is important for us is that once internalized, the values contribute to a better, sustainable world. So the methodology we used is about the subject, which is realization of the value education and the level of its realization. The methods we used are descriptive comparative methods and synthesis analysis, and the objective is to determine the level of realization for the development of values orientation in pupils. About the techniques and instruments, we used questionnaire and scaling to determine their opinions of the respondents and to identify difficulties, all of them they made in the teaching and learning process, and also to determine the level of acquiring the values in pupils. So, as we said, the respondents are teachers, students, and school support staff, and the thesis is that the realization of value-based educational goal in teaching does not contribute enough to the formation of values and values orientation in primary school students. So, before we go to results and discussions, I just want to say that the instruments we used are questions or questionnaire for pupils, questionnaire for teachers, and questionnaire for school support staff. So we started with school pupils, and we asked them about the list of values they realize the most or the least during the classes at school, to express how the educational goals and desired values are realized within the classes, their opinion about the school and the environment is important or are important to contribute to the development of desired values of students, and the difficulties and obstacles they meet in the process. So let's start with the first question, and as we can see, according to the rank, which is about terminal and instrumental values, according to Milton Rocketch list of values. So this is the rank, and we can say that in instrumental values prevail more traditional ones that refer to achieving the common good, and rather than those that refer to the personal and satisfying the needs and development of individual needs of students. So the ones that are bottom of the list, which are least realized, are inner space, self-respect, salvation, feeling of security, satisfaction of, and the world of beauty, well-being and cleanliness, and broad views and self-control. So these are the values that refer to individualized and differentiated teaching and learning, which usually contribute to personal satisfaction and realization. So the perception is that the principle of traditional teaching prevail in the schools of in primary school of North Macedonia, and that there is a neglecting of the personal development of students and self-esteem. Question number 2 is about the opinion of pupils on how the value educational goals and objectives contribute for the desired values to be achieved. So according to the answers, the results are in accordance with the hypothesis that there are differences in the level of realization of the educational goals in regular classes between the teachers from the subject and grade teaching, because the grade class teaching involves younger students and subject teaching classes involves secondary students. In the subject, grade teaching prevails. The educational component prevails more than the value-based educational one. In question 3, students answer about the influence of the classroom environment and classroom itself to the contribution of the development of their desired values. And as we can see, they stated that the climate does not contribute enough to the development of desired values of the students. Question number 4 is a rather narrative, but we made a summary of thematic parts, and it's about the obstacles and difficulties that students meet and that hinder the realization of value-based educational goals and formation in value orientation in students. So regarding the teachers, as implementers, they have difficulty in understanding the material well because there is an insufficient interaction and discipline during the teaching process, and their obligations, as they say, is abundant. Regarding the communication with the teachers and cooperation in the classroom, the students are bothered by the lack of respect and attitude by the teacher, especially special needs students are not paid attention to the level they need to, and there is an inequality of assessment. Regarding the realization of the program, the students meet difficulties with extensive materials, large number of tests, and great factography in learning. And regarding the students themselves, they think that there is not a cooperation enough between them, so there is a lack of socialization, and sometimes aggression, violence, and intolerance occur. The second instrument was intended to find about the opinions and views of the primary school teachers, and we asked them about the values they are encouraged to use most in school, to express their effect on the enhancing value in students about the education, to define the level of realization of planned value-based educational goal, name the difficulties and obstacles the same as students they met in the everyday teaching process, and what they think about the activities and measures to be taken in order to promote value-based educational goals in primary education in North Macedonia. So let's start with the first one. As we can see, there are two lists, and the first one is about the values that are encouraged most, and the second one, the values that are encouraged the least in the teaching process. So as primary are those which are part of the collective responsibility and act in accordance with the rules, norms, and code of conduct. And this one, which are the least articulated, are those that develop independence, democracy, individual and spiritual and emotional needs of the students. Question number 2 and 3 ask them about the realization of the value-based educational goals in the regular education as important for development and adoption of values, and to express their opinion on the level of the realization of the goals within the regular classes. As we can see, teachers believe that the realization of the value-based educational goal contribute to forming value-based orientation in students, and that there is a partial level of realization and objectives within the regular class teaching. Question number 4 and 5 are rather narrative and are organized thematically. So according to the question to name the difficulties and obstacles they meet in the realization of the value-based educational goal in teaching, they say that there is an overload of material content. They've got a lot of administrative responsibilities and little time to devote to planning the value-based educational teaching objectives. Also, they point to the indiscipline, to insufficient cooperation with the parents, and to the lack of didactic resources for quality program and implementation of value-based educational goals. Also, they need greater cooperation of other agents in the teaching process and resources as well. According to the measures and activities that should be taken in terms of promotion of the value-based educational goals, they give their opinions on regarding the implementation of the educational goals, and consider that as a priority the number of classes should be taken, and to think about the abundance of the educational program, then planning and integration of the value-based education should be done on a daily basis, and special needs students' problems should be tackled and appropriate solution to be given, and also point to the extracurricular activities which need an extension. Regarding their professional development, they need financial support and additional trainings in the use of the methodology for value-based educational goals implementation. And regarding the parents, they believe that greater cooperation is needed for successful communication child-parent teachers, and maybe counseling and workshops for parents with a professional service. Instrument 3 is intended to get the knowledge about support staff, their opinions and views on value-based educational goals. And here we have pedagogues, psychologists, defectologists, and librarians. And the questions we ask them is if educational goals in regular classes is important and significant for adoption of values, to express their opinion on how planned value-based educational goals are realized, and measures and activities to be taken in terms of promotion of the goals in teaching in primary school. The first question is about expressing their opinion on how the planned value-based educational goals are realized, about the level. So, as we can see, the bigger number of them believe that the subject teaching does not offer sufficient opportunities for realization of educational component, and that some of them believe that there is a partial level of realization of these goals. So their attitude expressed in percentages for full realization in grade and subject teaching is opposed. Question number 2 is referring to the realization of value-based educational goals as important for the development and in adoption of the values in students, and we can see that they completely agree. The third question about the measures and activities to be taken to promote and to realize these goals in primary education, they responded in accordance with the hypothesis of the need for greater pedagogical systematic work and commitment by teachers, as well as solving of the problem of program overload. There is time lag in the implementation, and also there is a need for teaching aids and equipment in modern schools for modern school teachers. So we can say that value-based educational function is neglected in the real teaching reality, and unfortunately the young people's life does not coincide with the conceptual idea and planning of the value system in the school. There is need for systematically synthesized and analyzed educational process that should be constantly evaluated. And the other aspect is about the teachers' survey results and the fact that adequately trained teaching staff will interact with the value content more successfully to realize the results. So the systematic development of abilities and skills of the modern teacher goes hand in hand with the efforts to apply achievements about the value-based knowledge and scientific principles. So the teacher is the one who is the mediator, who is the implementer of the form changes in the teaching about the sustainable world, and the school requires a qualified professional pedagogical education in teachers. That would be all. I hope you liked my research that will contribute to the better and more successful implementation of value-based educational goals in the primary school in North Macedonia. Have a nice day. Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, Ms. Violeta Penner. Now let me invite Mr. D. Clark from Western Sydney University, Australia to deliver his talk on digitally optimizing energy consumption in buildings.
Hello, thank you very much for this opportunity given me to make a presentation on this special occasion of the Interdisciplinary Research for Sustainable Development Conference 2020, which is being held virtually. As a Green ThinkerZ Award winner, I'm highly delighted to make this presentation. My name is DeGraft Joe Opoku, a researcher in the Center for Smart Modern Construction, Western Sydney University in Australia. I'm making a presentation on the topic, digitally optimizing energy consumption in buildings. As we all know, we're trying to see how best we can be able to help in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, which has a target year of 2030, for which we must all do our best to be able to help in realizing these 17 goals. This research team also includes Professor Srinath Pereira, Dr. Robert Oseiche, and Dr. Mariah Rashidi. In terms of the outline of this particular presentation, I'd first want to look at the background and then delve into the problem statement. I'll look at the aim for the study and objectives. I'll look at the scope. I'll delve into the research methodology, and then look at the expected outcomes of this research. And finally, I'll conclude with the significance of the study. This study is still ongoing, and I'll present to a point where we've reached in the study. Like we all know, the construction industry is very significant in the economies of every country. And then there's some evidence to show that it contributes highly to the growth of every nation, to the point of even being able to provide as much as 8 to 10% in terms of the development of the national economies of every country. And with some studies indicating that in the year 2017, about 8.1% of the contribution from the construction industry helped in terms of the global, I'll say the GDP, and then 9% to employment as a form of contribution. But however, notwithstanding all these positives of the construction industry, because of its quest to produce buildings and infrastructure to ensure that human beings are able to live safely and happily, it also significantly contributes to climate change. And there's some evidence to show that about 40% of global energy consumption is attributed to buildings, which is a very huge component of the construction industry. In the year 2017, Australian buildings were particularly accountable for 25% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And for these reasons, there have been various advocacies to take up measures to ensure that we're able to tackle climate change to its barest minimum. There have been various agreements in terms of finding ways to be able to tackle climate change. One significant one is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that was made in the year 1992. And then the Kyoto Protocol, also in the year 1998. And then Paris Agreement, which is seen as the most significant of all the agreements, that was in the year 2015. Notwithstanding all these various agreements to ensure that we tackle climate actions or climate change, in the year 2015, 17 Sustainable Development Goals were also formulated, which every country is supposed to put in measures to be able to help in addressing these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Particularly, the Goal 13 of the Sustainable Development Goals was specifically made for us to be able to tackle climate change, and it requires us to be able to take up actions to ensure that we minimize the effects of climate change on our environments. Like I rightly said, the building industry is one that produces so much in terms of contributing to climate change. And for us in Australia, in the year 2019, the Australian Energy Update reported that buildings are accountable for 20% of the total energy consumption within Australia. And much of this energy consumption in buildings is as a result of ensuring that people are comfortable. That is when we try closing doors, closing windows, opening doors, opening windows, and even our actual presence within the building. That also contributes into energy consumption. And then there's been some evidence to show that there have been numerous ways to which researchers are trying to ensure that we are able to tackle climate change and specifically energy consumption, which has some relationship. But however, most of these researchers which have tried to adopt new ways or technologies of ensuring that we minimize energy consumption have mainly focused on monitoring and then the provision of alarm capabilities. Various technological advancements have been made to ensure that we minimize energy consumption in buildings. One significant study was the study by Europe in 2019 that tries to look at the neuron. But most of these researches too have been virtual. And then, apart from it being virtual, the introduction of new technologies like the Internet of Things, which we call IoT, building information modeling, BIM, and then digital twin technologies have also been introduced in tackling energy consumption in buildings. However, the concept of digital twin technologies has been one that was introduced in the manufacturing industry, but has, however, seen minimal impact within the construction industry. And very few studies have tried to apply the concept of digital twin technologies into the construction industry, which is able to make us understand or establish a relationship between the physical object, which is the building, and its virtual components. And then based on that, we can be able to predict the future of this physical object. So for this reason, this study intends to optimize energy consumption and indoor environmental parameters, I mean heat, light, and sound, for occupants' dynamic behavior using digital twin technologies and then the Internet of Things. Here we will try to monitor the interactions between human beings and between occupants and the building, which technically positions the building as a dynamic object. So as a form of objectives that will help us in realizing this stated aim, 5 objectives have been formulated, and the first is to critically review literature and ascertain what you mean by energy consumption, what you mean by occupants interaction, and then indoor environmental parameters in buildings. The second will be to look at the integration of the Internet of Things and digital twin technologies and how they are applied within the construction industry, specifically the building sector. The third objective is to analyze the occupants' interaction in the buildings by installing sensors to monitor their interaction within the building. The fourth objective will be to develop the digital twin of the physical object, which is the chosen building, and then try to visualize the energy consumption patterns and environmental parameters such as heat, light, and sound within this digital twin. And then based on that, finally, the fifth objective will be to develop management procedures in the form of best practice guidelines that can be adopted by building managers in optimizing energy consumption in buildings. So for the scope of this research, this study is focusing on a specific type of building, which is an educational building, because research has made us understand that most studies that try to adopt technological advancements in tackling energy consumption in buildings have been geared towards commercial and then residential buildings. An example is the study in New South Wales that tries to monitor energy consumption in buildings, specifically in the New South Wales state of Australia. So we would monitor a library building, which is a typical example of an educational building, which has specific occupants' behaviors in the building. Since people go there easily to have library studies and the rest. So it was chosen because it has constant interaction with people, and for that matter, it will be the best option in terms of educational building. So we tried to develop a digital twin of this library building by monitoring energy consumption and then indoor environmental parameters, that is heat, light, and sound within the building, and then try to reflect that consumption and optimal consumption of energy in the digital twin model. So in terms of the research methodology, sensors will be installed in the building, library building, to collect data on energy consumption, heat, light, and sound. And then based on that, data analytics techniques such as time series analysis, depending on the homogeneity between the data that's collected. And then the analyzed data will then be reflected in a digital twin of the library building. In terms of the outcomes of this research, we expect to have an optimized energy consumption in this library building using a real-life data and data analytics techniques. The second will be to develop a digital twin that is able to simulate heating, lighting, and then sound parameters of the library building. And then the third expected outcome of this research is to come out with some best management procedures, that is best in the form of a best practice guidelines that can be adopted by library managers to ensure that energy consumption and indoor environmental parameters, that is heat, light, and sound, are optimized in the library building. In terms of the significance of this study would use real-life environmental data by the deployment of sensors to establish the continual usage of energy within the building, considering its dynamic nature. And the second would be to have a digital twin of the library building that is able to visually stimulate the energy consumption and environmental parameters of the building so as to be able to enhance its application in the construction industry. And then the third significance of this study or contribution of this study is being able to come out with a bespoke or specific management procedures or best practice guidelines for the library managers to be able to help in managing energy consumption in buildings, specifically library buildings, which can be replicated in several library buildings. And then the last contribution or significance of this particular study is the management procedures has the propensity to be able to help us in addressing energy consumption in buildings. That is a key component of the Sustainable Development Goal 13 specifically. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr. D. Graft. Moving ahead, inviting Ms. Upinder Kaur from GNM College, Ambala, Haryana, India, to deliver her talk on a study of e-commerce in India versus USA.
Hello everyone. Myself Upinder Kaur, Assistant Professor in Computer Science, GMN College, Ambala, Kent, Haryana. The topic for my presentation is a study of e-commerce in India versus USA. Information technology has been playing a very important role in the future development of financial sectors and the way of doing business in an emerging economy like Bangladesh. Today, e-commerce has become an integral part of our life. E-commerce has a major impact on business cost and productivity. Today, the figure of internet users in the world is close to 3 billion. Out of this, India has an entirety of 259.14 million internet and broadband subscribers. Enlarged make use of smart mobile services and internet as a new circulation channel for business transactions and international trading requires more attention towards e-commerce security for reducing the fraudulent activities. This study predicts some challenges in an upcoming economy. This paper is outcome of a review of different research studies carried out on e-commerce. This paper examines different opportunities of e-commerce. It brings out the overall sight of growth of e-commerce industry in India. This paper highlights the assorted key challenges and opportunities which Indian e-commerce industry may face in the upcoming years. Now, e-commerce in India versus USA. Amazon.com has always sold goods out of its own warehouses. It started as an bookseller, pure and simple, and over the last decade has branched out into additional product areas and the third-party sales that now represent a good chunk of its revenue. Both retailers and individual sellers utilize the Amazon.com platform to sell the goods. India is a massive market with huge opportunities for e-commerce retail. Only about 6% of the adult population have credit cards. That is growing at 25% annually. India has 480 million internet users, and that's growing at 25% as well. According to a report provided by Forrester 11 Research, e-commerce revenues in India will increase by more than 5 times by 2016, jumping from US 1.6 billion, that is 160 crore in 2012 to 880 crores in 2016. Amazon US versus India. Amazon India is currently worth $16 billion and has the same 30% market share as local competitor. Flipkart, according to a new report from City Research. Amazon entered the India space in 2013 and has yet to turn a profit, but it's captured about 30% of Indian e-commerce market and is poised to grow that 23% annually until 2027. That would mean Amazon India would reach $70 billion in gross merchandise volume and $11 billion in revenue. Amazon e-commerce sales in US are expected to reach a staggering $258.2 billion this year. It is nearly up to 30% from a year ago, according to a new survey from eMarketer that looks at the company's sale by product category. Now the challenges of e-commerce in India. No doubt there are a lot of advantages to the e-commerce business, and e-commerce industry also suffers from a lot of challenges. In this paper we uncovered some of the challenges which is faced by e-commerce industry. One is data and identity protection. The major concern for this industry is security of customer data, their personal information. While e-commerce gives you an ability to do everything online, it does not require you to be physically present. One of the example is you can open an account and a credit card through online these days without going into bank branch. But if someone has your information, they can impersonate and can open the account on your name. This fraud is common with older people as they do not check their emails or phone consistently. To overcome this, Indian government has established some IT Act laws to protect the consumers. Next is the trust. Trust is a big word in e-commerce, and that is one of the biggest challenges as well as these days. Like they comes in different forms, like can your potential customers trust your company? Can they trust your chosen payment method, or your products are of good quality or not? Next is the security of system. Security over the internet is of immense importance to promote e-commerce. Since e-commerce companies keep sensitive information on their servers, e-commerce companies must ensure that they have adequate security measures to safeguard their systems from any unauthorized intrusion. A company could face security threats externally as well as internally. Now to conclude, the e-commerce gives challenges to traditional business for competitive position. Developing countries face many obstacles that affect the successful implementation of e-commerce with the help of comparing with developed countries. E-commerce creates latest opportunities for business. It also creates new opportunities for education and academics. It appears that there is remarkable potential for providing e-business education. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Upinder Kaur. Now, I am inviting Dr. Bharti Vij from GNM College, Ambala, Haryana, India, to deliver her talk on a study of best practices of digital marketing in India.
Today's my topic is a study of best practices of digital marketing in India. Myself, Dr. Bharti Vij, Assistant Professor, GNM College, Ambala, Kent. Digital marketing is an umbrella term for the targeted, measurable, and interactive marketing of products or services using digital technology to reach and convert lead into customer and retain them. The key objective is to promote brand building preference and increase sale through various digital marketing techniques. According to the Digital Marketing Institute, digital marketing is the use of digital channel to promote or market product and service to consumer and businesses. Objective of the study: the main objective of the study is to the best practices adopt in digital marketing. Second, to discuss the challenges of digital marketing. Best practices of digital marketing are as follows: chatbox and conversational marketing. Chatbox and conversational marketing uses automated technology using including artificial intelligence. It includes everything from email marketing to consumer feedback and help online shoppers and branch connect with each other through chat and voice. Second is voice search. Voice search using smartphone with voice assistants and smart speaker is going to continue to grow. Voice commerce sales hit about $1.8 billion in 2018, with estimate putting sale at $40 billion by 2022. Third is personalization. More than 70% of consumers get frustrated when content has nothing to do with them. When their experience is personalized, through nearly 50% of consumers spend more. So your bottom line improve and your visitor feel important. It's a win-win situation. Fourth is video marketing. Video marketing is a type of video you record and post with the intention of moving you towards your business goals, and it does not just happen on YouTube. Smartphone, Snapchat, TikTok are the example of video market content. Micro moments are intent-rich moments when a person head to a device to act on a need to grow, need to know, to go, to do, or to buy. Micro moments are important because everyone want to have their need met. Sixth is social commerce and shoppable post. No digital marketing best practices post would be complete without mention of social commerce. Social media marketing strategies is important for driving traffic to your site, building brand recognition, building community, and building brand loyalty. In fact, 72% of the Instagram user have purchased a product on the omni-channel marketing. Omni-channel marketing sound complicated, but it is really just marketing across multiple platforms. Using omni-channel marketing creates multiple touch points between you and your target audience. Privacy marketing. With the rise of consumer privacy using measures like GDPR and California Consumer Privacy Act, marketers will need to be more intentional with their targeting if they want to engage user. Next are challenges of the digital marketing. First is educating the client. Educating the client. Take more time and effort to educate them on digital marketing. Extra effort to train client with pay you on long term. We contemplate this fact and have various training module of digital marketing from leading expert in Singapore's engagement in the fundamental. We spend measure and improvise them here with the watchword ROA. Here is in discuss let of the arrangement factor. um, when arrangement is not about the impression, reach, or SOV, but it is more of intangible and broadly AIDA, that is attention, interest, desire, action principle of advertising. Next is diversity, east to west, north to south, planning for a nationwide campaign or a region level. The interest, culture, taste are very and very visible in any digital platform. This is a debatable issue, and as people use the internet in the universal language English and cover the educated middle and upper classes, digital marketer has many platforms open up to experiment. The challenge and success depend on the understanding the diversity, metrics and creativity. Load of data are variable once a digital campaign is running or even while at the planning stage. Obsessed with data and interpretation may lead to overlooking creativity by digital marketers. Last is getting it initiated. Any digital campaign with it well defined goal have many platforms, that is emailer, SMS, ad words, special promotion on social media, and SEO or ORM, which area long term affairs, and many more to come in future. At present, there are agencies, individuals who have expertise in each area, and all a good digital marketer have to do to get their initiated. Last is, in the end, we conclude all the topic. Digital channel is marketing have become an essential part of the strategy of many companies. Companies should create innovation, customer experiences, and specific strategies for media to identify the best path for driving up a digital marketing performance. Last is the slide is thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Bharti Vij. Moving ahead, I am inviting Ms. Gurpreet Kaur from Mata Gujri College, Fatehgarh Sahib, Punjab, India, to deliver her talk on phytotherapeutic agents, a new hope towards the treatment of visceral leishmaniasis.
Good morning to all of you. Today I am here to present my work entitled Phytotherapeutic Agents, a new hope towards the treatment of visceral leishmaniasis. Leishmaniasis is one of the neglected tropical disease which is caused by the protozoan parasite Leishmania. It is endemic in 98 countries and has affected 12 million people worldwide. It is of three types: visceral, cutaneous and mucocutaneous. Among these, visceral leishmaniasis is the most fatal form, which is caused by Leishmania do. It is transmitted by the vector sandfly phlebotomus and Lutzomia. 90% cases of the visceral leishmaniasis occur in India, Somalia, Kenya, Sudan, South Sudan, Ethiopia and Brazil. In India, 90% cases has been reported from Bihar. During visceral leishmaniasis, fever, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly, pancytopenia, hypergammaglobulinemia are the common symptoms which are observed. This figure depicts the interplay of different cytokines during the leishmaniasis. Leishmania infection is initiated by direct uptake of these parasites by skin resident macrophages or dendritic cells. If these infected macrophages cells produce IL-12, then it results in the development of CD4 positive Th1 cells. These cells in turn produce IFN gamma, which further activates the infected macrophages and upregulates the expression of nitric oxide synthase. This gene is responsible for the production of many oxidative free radicals like nitric oxide, which kills Leishmania. However, in contrast to this, the production of IL-4 supports the development of CD4 positive Th2 cells. These cells produce IL-13, which upregulates arginase activity of infected macrophages. This leads to the synthesis of polyamines, which inhibit the oxidative stress and thus helps in the survival of the parasite. In addition to T regulatory cells also play crucial role during the Leishmania infection. These T regulatory cells produce cytokines like IL-10 or TGF-beta, which deactivates the infected macrophages and thus results in the survival of the parasite. So it is clear that during the visceral leishmaniasis, immune system gets suppressed. The control of visceral leishmaniasis is a very challenging task. The drugs available for its treatment are sodium stibogluconate, amphotericin B, and miltefosine, possess many side effects like hepatotoxicity, nephrotoxicity, and teratogenicity. Therefore, new treatment options are required which not only kills the parasite but also are immunomodulatory, non-toxic, and cost-effective. So, keeping this in view, my aim is to search for the medicinal plants which could give me some leads to control visceral leishmaniasis infection without posing any toxicity. In this line, plants provide a good alternative for the treatment of visceral leishmaniasis as they possess immunomodulatory properties and negligible adverse effects. Plants has many important phytoconstituents like alkaloids, flavonoids, tannins, phenolics, terpenes, and saponins. All of these possess several pharmacological properties. So first we will discuss about the alkaloids. These are the nitrogenous compounds which are synthesized from the amino acids. Alkaloids which are in clinical use are morphine, codeine, vinblastine, and quinine. These agents are anti-cancer and anti-malarials which are used in clinically. Then come to the anti-leishmanial effects of the alkaloids. Alkaloids alleviate the production of nitric oxide in infected macrophages. Secondly, it also causes some morphological changes like swelling of the mitochondria and chromatin condensation. Alkaloids like berberine chloride stimulate the generation of the free radicals, and it also modulates the level of mitogen activated kinases, which in turn reduces the amount of ERK, that is extracellular signal related kinases. Therefore, enzyme can be used as a target in leishmaniasis. Further, we come to the next phytoconstituent, flavonoids. These are the major polyphenolic components which are widely present in plants. Flavonoids, which is currently in clinical use, is phenoxydiol, which is used for the treatment of cervical and ovarian cancers. Then come to the anti-leishmanial effects of the flavonoids. These compounds hamper the synthesis of parasitic DNA by inhibiting the topoisomerase enzymes. In addition to it, these compounds enhance the secretion of Th1 cytokines and microbicidal components like nitric oxide and reactive oxygen species, which ultimately cause the killing of the parasites. Likewise, flavonoids like naringenin and these arrest Leishmania donovani in vitro studies at subgenomes. In vitro enhance the levels of which further activate the CD4 positive T cells. It enhanced the levels of Th1 cytokines and CD, which cause the killing. Moreover, narinjani also enhances the levels of nitric oxide. It results in the increased levels of nitric oxide and leads to the parasite. Another effect of lemon is cause the swelling of the parasite mitochondria. In addition to it, it also causes the inhibition of the fumarate dehydrogenase enzyme in the mitochondrial respiratory chain. Phenolic compounds are the aromatic substances synthesized in plants by the shiknic acid. Like other natural compounds, these compounds also put significant reduce the chelation and production of the free radicals. Injection of the parasite. Many phenolics like rosamatic acid therapeutic index as compared to the standard potassium against the leishmaniasis. Then come along to the polyphenol. The tannins which are in clinical use is the tannic acid, which is used for the cosmetic and pharmaceutical industry for their antioxidant and anti-cancer properties. Among the leishmaniacidal effect of tannins enhance the levels of interferon gamma, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and IL-12 and IL-18 cytokines. It also induces the expression of nitric oxide enzyme, which ultimately lead to the production of free radicals like nitric oxide and cause the killing of the parasite. Further among the carbaxyloquinone, diazoquine, triazoquine, and these are in clinically used for anti-cancer agents. These components also induce the oxidation. Also include the DNA phase 1 of the apoptosis of the next the constituent lignins. Widely, they showed leishmaniacidal activity by its anti-proliferative activity. They also arrest the cell cycle in the S phase and inhibit the multiplication of the parasite. These compounds also prevent the attachment of amastigotes to macrophages. By this way, it blocks the entry of the parasite. Moreover, lignins also inhibit the DNA topoisomerase enzyme and cause the apoptosis of the parasite. Then we move to the next phytoconstituents, terpenes. Terpenes are made up of the isoprene units. Among the terpenes, artemether, which is made up of the artemisinin, it is currently used as an anti-malarial drug. Second is the gossypol, which is also in clinical use as an antifungal and antibacterial. Then Taxol. Taxol is also used as an anti-cancerous agent clinically. Exhibit the leishmaniacidal effect by many ways. First, it increases the generation of oxide and macrophages. Secondly, it also stimulates the generation of the Th1 protein. Last but not the It also targets DNA with one process of the Leishmanian disease. Then we move to the second parts. Glycan is sugar and the A glycan is mostly are used moreover like yellow progesterone-like compounds for birth control pills. Among the Leishmani's effect of supplements, it showed anti-proliferative activity. Secondly, they also induce a decrease in the membrane potential. In addition to it, they also cause the disruption of the membrane of the parasite. What they do, they bind with the cholesterol molecule in the membrane as they have affinity for membrane sterols. By binding here, it causes the disruption of the parasitic membrane. This table conveys that phytoconstituents have the potential to control the infection of Leishmania pneumoniae by rejuvenation of the immune system. Moreover, very crucially, these phytoconstituents did not exhibit any toxicity. Therefore, these compounds provide a safe lead for treatment against visceral leishmaniasis. These are the reference which we have used for the current study. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur. Now I am inviting Mrs. Pinky Gupta from GNM College, Ambala, Haryana, India to deliver her talk on a comparative study of various telecom services providers in India.
Myself Pinky Gupta, Assistant Professor, GMN College, Ambala, Kent. My today's topic of presentation is a comparative study of various telecom service providers in India. It has been said that the mobile phone have become an integral part of human everyday life. In particular, unlike other technologies, mobile phones are being used without any training in every place and in every situation, even on move. This makes it essential that mobile phone interface be built to be intuitive and usable to users. This has been seen as an effective tool in growing and developing economies. This sector has shown impressive growth during the past decade. The rapid growth can be attributed to the various proactive and positive policy measures taken by the government, as well as the dynamic and entrepreneurial spirit of the various telecom service providers, both in private and public sector. The objectives of today's study are to study the current position of various telecom service providers in India, and the second objective is to study recent changes and updates about these service providers. Research methodology which is used is to achieve the objectives. Information was collected by using secondary data. The information was collected from Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, that is TRAI, website related to the present position of various telecom service providers in India and their recent updates. The work done by the researchers in the past has also been studied. Various journals, research papers, newspapers and other sources of secondary data have also been consulted. The present position of wireless operators. The country's telecom regulator is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, that is TRAI. According to TRAI, as on 29 February 2020, in India, the total number of telecom subscribers were 1.18 billion. There were 1,160.59 million of wireless subscribers, while 20.26 million wireline subscribers. In this slide, it has been clearly shown that total wireless subscribers were 1,144 million at the end of July 20, which were increased to 1,147 million at the end of August 20. The monthly growth registered was 0.33%. If we compare urban area to rural area, monthly growth rate of urban area was recorded 0.69%, while of rural area it was 0.10%. Total number of urban subscribers were increased from 620.68 million to 624.93 million, while rural subscribers were decreased from 523.50 million to 522.99 during the same period. The wireless tele density in India increased from 84.56 at the end of July 20 to 84.77 at the end of August 20. The urban wireless tele density increased from 133.64 to 134.33, while rural wireless tele density was decreased from 58.91 to 58.83 during the same period. Assessed service provider wise market share in terms of wireless subscribers has been shown in this pie chart on 31st August 2020. In this, Messrs. Bharti Airtel Limited has reported the wireless subscribers, including the subscribers of Messrs. Tata Tele Services Limited. Reliance Jio seems to be the market leader, having 35.08% market share, while Bharti Airtel occupies 28.12% of market share. Vodafone India covers 26.15% of market share only. If we compare private sector to public sector undertaking, private sector occupies 89.35%, while public sector occupies only 10.65% of market share. In this slide, service area wise monthly growth rate of wireless subscribers have been depicted in the month of August 2020 state-wise. Almost each and every state reported a growth rate with green symbol except 3 states, which are West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Jammu Kashmir. Market share of wireline subscribers as per assessed service provider wise have been shown as on 31st August 2020. In case of wireline service providers, BSNL seems to be having highest market share with 39.84%, followed by Bharti Airtel with 21.86%, MTNL, Reliance Jio, Tata Tele and some other telecom service providers. Now come to the conclusion part. The first conclusion is BSNL holds maximum market share of wireline subscribers as on 31st August 2020, followed by Bharti Airtel, MTNL and Reliance Jio. Reliance Jio holds maximum market share of wireless subscribers as on 31st August 2020, followed by Bharti Airtel, Vodafone Idea and BSNL at the 4th number. Except 3 states, namely West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Jammu Kashmir, all the states have shown monthly growth rate in number of subscribers. Thank you.
Thanks Mrs. Pinky Gupta. Moving ahead, now I am inviting Mr. Prathamesh from Indra Institute of Management, Pune, Maharashtra, India to deliver his talk on digital body language, an important element in the platform skills for business management students post-pandemic virtual world.
Very good afternoon to one and all. I am Professor Prathamesh Nadkarni and I am doing my PhD. I am a research scholar at MIT Art, Design and Technology University. Topic for my PhD is developing a platform skills model for business management students, and on the similar lines I have written my research paper as well, taking one of the element out of it, that is digital body language is an important element in platform skills for business management students post pandemic in this virtual world. And it is written by me. Along with me, my core authors are Dr. Priya Singh, School of Education and Research, MIT DT University, and Dr. Ravi Joshi sir, JSPM Group of Institutes. He is the Chief Director, Executive Director there. So guide for my research for my PhD is Dr. Priya Singh ma'am, and the co-guide is Dr. Ravi Joshi sir. So when we speak about digital body language, basically let me start with what is platform skills. So platform skills, when we hear this word platform skills is something where we need to be very much profound about how do we deliver and not about what we deliver. So what content are we delivering is one part, and how effectively do we deliver is the other one. So communication skills is not what is same as what the platform skills are. Platform skills is utilizing the stage to the fullest. Platform skills is making myself completely in touch with the audience that is in front of me. I take care that whatever I deliver is 100% being effective, and my presentation or like what we can say, my own way of experimenting the classroom effects, or using the classroom in such a way that any person, not even only a classroom, I would say, it's a presentation room in corporate worlds. When we give presentations, again everywhere, the platform that you are using, is it used effectively? Are my skills up to that level where I can go and deliver the things to a person that gets connected properly, a person understands it properly, and I've made it that capable that he can go and implement it on the other side. So on the similar lines, when we speak about digital body language, see, before pandemic, it was always a person going out to various places and reaching out to other person in person to person and speaking to them one to one, or like the presentations were in rooms, in boardrooms, in conference rooms, in big halls. But now, post pandemic, it has completely changed. It's becoming virtual. It's something that is becoming on mails more than finding it in face to face. So when we say this, digital body language becomes a very important part and a very important aspect when we consider platform skills. No doubt body language is a main point of concern when we speak about platform skills, but when it comes to virtual world, we need to put a e-body language, or we can put it as a digital body language. So what does my paper say? In my paper, what we have completely focused is the elaborative approach on how can we make a person rightly understand what am I saying to him or her without showing my face and facial expressions. So that is where you put your words on a toss. When you put your words in such a way that a person assumes, or a person takes it in a similar way what you want to tell the particular person. So there are three things that we have focused on in our research paper. First is your channel is the key. So how much and how good are you? The varied communication channels that we speak, how much do we keep the length of it? Like when we are putting into an email, and then when we are drafting it to somebody else, how good are we putting up to the point the things that we need to, and we are not making a mess out of it by making it a big and enlarged one. Second, how easy are we at our language? So drafting a mail to a boss or drafting a mail to a upper hierarchy doesn't mean you put lucrative words into it. It is always making it lengthwise less and keeping it very simple is very important to make a person understand what you actually want to say. The third thing that comes is familiarity. So what is familiarity is make sure that your words are not coming out of some other word. It is becoming very what we can say, when it comes to familiarity, the words that we exchange should be a normalized words. Make the person understand what you are saying it in a very simple word. So that will always bring your message a good weightage of. That makes a message a very easy one to understand and then to implement. Then the fourth point that we consider is discipline. Obviously, when we put anything into mail, make sure we do not use more exclamatory marks. We do not make that sentence into exaggerations. We do not make that sentences into a full flow of sentences where a person does not understand when is this sentence going to stop. So basically, when we maintain something or when we put something as a message to somebody else, when we are not in front of him, make sure that the message becomes very crisp and clear. And we get into a very disciplined one where a person does not take that message into any casual approach. So that is what when we speak about the first part, that is your channel is the key. Next comes the punctuation and emojis can be offered intending to your words. So what does that mean? The exclamations are very important. So always keep one thing in mind. So there are always like signs. Like if you give one exclamation, it's okay. That shows an expression. 2 shows excitement. 3 exclamations shows enthusiasm. 4 exclamations makes a person anger. It makes a person pity. So sometimes it happens that you are in such a flow where you feel like 3 to 4 exclamation marks if you give, it will express how expressive I am in that. So it does not. It can be taken as an anger by a person. So these are few rules that we need to be very much clear of when we put up our exclamation marks. Then comes full stops. So days before full points were simply a punctuation, but now every full stop can matter. Leaving up a line without full stop makes somebody confused whether that was a statement, whether that was an expression, whether that was just a simple casual line. So here we need to be very much sure that where and how many times are we using our full stops. Whether this full stop is going to make a line complete, whether this full stop is not going to create any kind of confusion is what we have to take care of. Then comes a question mark. So when it comes to a question mark, make very sure that a question mark do not put a counter question to somebody that might hurt an ego of a person to whom you have asked the question. Rather, make it a polite one and then ask for suggestion. Make it a polite one and then the question mark should come by asking what are your point of views. So this way of using question makes somebody a part of your process, and it does not enforces somebody to think out of what we can say. If you force somebody to to answer something, that becomes again a part of a disgraceful for a person, that why is he asking me in that way. So that asking should come with a polite line first, and then it can come with a question mark from a part of suggestions, or from a part of knowing how that person's point of view is. So in that way we go ahead with a question mark. Then comes emojis. So I'll tell you, there were days when it was a crime if we used to put emojis in any of the mails and messages and send it to somebody if it was to be professional. But now when we say emojis is an area where you can still put one and say thank you, and that still reflects a good reactions. If you give one small smiling simile saying that we are a smiley, saying that in the evening we'll be meeting sir at 6 p.m, a gentle reminder for that, and then you put it still represents a good thing, because as the world is growing virtually now, people are in the state of mind where they imagine after reading that line that the person is smiling while saying that line. That brings a positive approach of yours. Might be your meeting that is in the evening 6 would be a successful one by seeing the confidence in this line by putting an emoji just after the line. So accordingly, this is how the things we need to take care of when we put the punctuations. And the third thing is making sentences very simple, very crisp and very clear. So 3 things we need to keep in mind when we say simple, crisp and clear. That are, am I clear concerning my projection thoughts? Did I embrace right flows within the context? And am I straightforward and crisp in selecting my words? The very, very important questions. So when we say this, you need to do something which can be managed at your level, and you're putting a person at the highest level as a CC, highest level hierarchy person in the CC for that particular thing, doesn't give a good impact for that person as well. So you need to know that are my right words being attached, not attacked, attached to the right folks. Are these people right audience to whom am I putting out in my mail? Are these right people on which I'm putting out on my Zoom? Is this chat going to the right people? So this is where we need to be very simple, crisp and clear. My lines should be very simple. In the evening at this place, 6 p.m. meeting you all, thank you, is more than enough. Putting out why are we meeting and this and that, and then again 6, so putting the time again at 6 p.m. and then saying we'll be meeting at 6. Was like, if you are meeting at 6 p.m. for some discussion, you do not need to put that everything and make that mails and your messages bigger. So you need to be very simple, very crisp, very clear, and you need to be projected thoughts. Are you flowing in a flow? Is that your line 1 connected to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4? Person reading any specific message, is it flowing it in a right flow? This everything, when is in a flow, when this is logical, when one line reflects exactly what the second line is dependent on, then your message becomes digitally very much approachable to a person who is listening it, approachable to the person who is reading it. After all, when you say a sender, you are a sender, and the person who is receiving it is a receiver. And here the biggest hurdle that you're facing is your face could not be seen. So when you put a line, I am still not happy with what the work is going on, a person is not actually able to understand whether it's a statement or whether that's an anger. It's only because you cannot show your face. So when it's a virtual way, make sure that your body language that you carry, e-body language that you carry, digital body language that you carry needs to be very much up to the crisp level that you can put up with. Be very simple in your language, be very clear to the specifically to the person to whom you are approaching for, and that will surely give you a proper way, a proper a right impact of what you want to deliver somebody, and that is how the other person is taking it in the right way and in the right approach. So when we speak about this, some literature review, so I have used Eric Devan. So in his innovative keynote speaker, like he's an innovative keynote speaker. In his LinkedIn learning blogs, he has wonderfully kept out these 3 effective tips of how specifically a channel punctuations and sentences make your intentions to the digital message to keep it up to the communication swing. And Wesley Cleed in his diary, What is Digital Body Language, in his 29 May 2020 states that digital visual communication is all about net activity or behavior. So how good you are on your behavior at net shows you how impactful you are in any such a virtual world where you're going and interacting with somebody. So again, when we go ahead with, we have Shama Haider, the founder and business executive of Zen Media. He says that our digital visual communication is essential for establishing and maintaining sensible rapport. So that rapport is again that is built there and contributing to high morale, typically making a positive work and surrounding by everybody at the corporate. So if you see all 3 literature reviews that we have been collecting, everybody is just trying to put more focus on digital body language. Body language digitally is going to make you unique. Your body language digitally is going to make you build a rapport with somebody. So the 3 things that we have specifically seen: channel, punctuations and sentences. These 3 things, if we put in a very proper way of order, maintaining all the principles or all the rules that we have discussed in the paper, and then we go ahead, I think that would be a really an impactful thing which can be more fruitful at the end of the conversation. So when we come out to the conclusion, very simple, digital visual communication is something of a fashionable tool that a company should opt. There should be a lot of trainings on this that has to be done. So conclusively, digital body language is a part of our daily routine professional works, and we need to be very much focused on it. It carries a lot of weightage now, as people are now making presentations only visually, and we are not going out to any places due to pandemic. So it's very important that we maintain it in a very proper way, and your level of voice, your pitching, your articulated words all need to be in a very right flow and up to the right mark, which will make somebody, a listener, get it rightly attached to what you are saying, and it doesn't leave the flow of the road of what your words are. And similarly, concentrate to however we are presenting yourself online, and maybe distinguish between success and failure. So what we are speaking and what we are putting is always going to add upon whether the project that you are representing is going to be a success or a failure. So we need to be very punctuated, very crisp about what we are speaking. So there are few things that we can go, like some suggestions. So if people can go for very like online MOOCs and e-learning courses, webinar series, this will keep on making you practices, making various emails and courses will keep everybody in the flow of that practice of how you can build yourself, how you can make your digital body language a worthy and a representable one in this virtual world. So that is what has been one of the biggest suggestion after looking up to what the research paper says. And you need to be very flexible. So when we put some findings, it makes bonds stronger and healthier in your skilled further as your personal communication. So this is what is one of the biggest findings. Digital visual communication will create the communication switch while not face-to-face interaction. So what digital communication can do is it can still bring a tight professional a bondage which even face-to-face cannot do. So sometimes that professional touch with each other can always bring a weightage after looking to the flow of your speech that you have put in your message. So digital visual communication has been used on 17 post-pandemics in companies. So you can see 70 more companies have already started only digital, even though they can still go. I'm just speaking about the region Pune, in which companies are completely focused on digital and they are not interested to go to any other company and have a word-to-word face, because they are very much good at digital body language that they are utilizing in their own companies, coming up with this concept of digital body language. So these all 70 companies have now opted digital body language as an important part when they go for their email shootouts or like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, any of their virtual communication when done, they take care that their digital body language is maintained on a priority basis. So important thing again, once this is sharpened, it is obviously going to sharpen the platform skills of a person. So out of the 16 points that platform skills carry, this is one of the important point I feel that needs to be taken care of right now when we are not going out of our offices and operating the world from our office. So I guess a lot of references from Hyder's views of all posts by Jacobs, bibliographies, as I've told you, I've used Dhavani book of digital body language, a wonderful book which has showed how digital body language can bring the impacts. And I guess yes. So the last note from my side is it's always easy for a person to face a person and say what you want to say by showing your facial expressions, but it's very tough to make it when it is without showing your facial expressions, but yet you want to display or convey the same thing, and for that you need to be very much entitled with how the digital body language is. So we need to be we need to understand digital body language. We need to understand how the flow of a message should be, where we need to use the punctuations, and how the sentences should be built. That would really be helpful for a person in the professional world as well. Right from the students, they need to learn these all things to any person who is practicing in the professional life. So I think I'm thankful for this, and I'm very much for this research paper. I would acknowledge. I've got a important acknowledgement. So it is Dr. Asavari Bhave ma'am. She is the head for PhD cell at MIT Art Design and Technology University. She has been always very positive about anything that I'm doing in platform skills. And when this topic came to my mind, I always discussed. The first thing that I did was I discussed with her and Dr. Priya ma'am, and at that time she was like, you just go ahead and write what you feel, because anything you add to platforms is going to be something that is coming up new to anybody or everybody that is listening to. So I'm very much thankful to you ma'am, and thank you so much to my parents for their blessings, and yes, to everybody, those who are with me for this wonderful journey of my PhD, and to my guide, yes, to my co-guide, to my wife, to everybody, and to all the supporting people, those who are with me for this PhD journey. So thank you so much, and I hope this research paper will bring some impact to the people. Once you read it, you will still understand the more in depth what I would like to say, and I think I should stop here. So thank you so much. It was wonderful presenting out my paper here in this conference. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Prathamesh. Now let us move towards our recognition session. Green ThinkerZ recognizes excellence through its eminent series of awards for academic leaders, academic influencers, educators, engineers, innovative educators, researchers, young aspirants, young researchers, and young scientists for their achievements and contribution in their different fields. The awards were instituted by the Green ThinkerZ Society India in 2016 during vIRSD 2016. Since its inception, we have received thousands of nominations for the envied awards. It is the 5th edition of these coveted awards, and till date 200 plus awards have been bestowed by the Society to recognize the exemplary work of individuals and organizations across the globe. So let's begin the proceedings by recognizing the awardees in various categories for vIRSD awards. We will start with the people who have made a difference by their leadership in the field of education and research. It's time to recognize the preeminent academic leaders. So our first awardee is Mr. N.C. Nwabgo from the Investors College, Oyo State, Nigeria. Our next awardee is Mr. Vineet Kumar Pal from Chandan Healthcare Limited. Our next awardee is Dr. Rajeshwari H from BMS Engineering, Bangalore. Our next awardee is Dr. Hitesh Panchal from Government Engineering College, Patan, Gujarat. Our next awardee is Dr. Ramandeep Kaur from Holyheart Senior Secondary School, Madevi, Punjab. Our next awardee is Professor Prathamesh Vilas Patil from AR Institute of Engineering and Technology, Maharashtra. Our next awardee is Dr. V. Kalpana from Veltech Ragaranjan Dr. Sanguthala R&D Institute of Science and Technology, Tamil Nadu. So moving to our next category, it's time to honor the people who have played a key role in the academics. It's time to recognize the preeminent academic influencers. So our first awardee is Mr. Raghavendra Dhar from NMDC DAV Polytechnical, Dantewada, Chhattisgarh. Our next awardee is Dr. Anil Kumar Tripathi from CMR Institute of Technology, Telangana. Now, our next category is the group of people who have done excellent work in their classroom physically and virtually. It's time to recognize the preeminent educators. So our first awardee is Professor Dr. N.R. Ramkumar from AMET Deemed to be University, Chennai. Our next awardee is Dr. Jayavani Vankara from Dr. Lankapali Bulya College of Engineering, Andhra Pradesh. Our next awardee is Miss Mary Malcolm Mandi from Bishop Cotton Boys School, Bangalore, Karnataka. Our next awardee is Mr. Ramesh Kumar from PGDAV College, Evening, New Delhi. Our next awardee is Professor Rajesh Kumar from Osmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana. Our next awardee is Mr. Suresh Gopichand Isave from Tilak College of Education, Pune, Maharashtra. Now, it's time to honor a personality who is doing amazing working in the field of engineering and technology. Let us recognize our preeminent engineer, Dr. Rajesh Kumar U. Sambhe from Jawaharlal Darda Institute of Engineering and Technology, Yavatmal, Maharashtra. Our next category is the group of people who have transformed their classroom into an innovative studio of modern day teaching learning. It's time to honor the preeminent innovative educators. So, our first awardee is Professor Subhash Chandra Mandal from Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Our next awardee is Dr. K. Raghav Rao from KLEF Deemed to be University, Andhra Pradesh. Our next awardee is Miss Deepsi Batra from Manav Rachna University, Haryana. Our next awardee is Miss Ritu Ranjan from Indraprastha World School, New Delhi. Our next awardee is Professor Kannav V from Alagappa University, Tamil Nadu. Our next awardee is Dr. Rudrup Gupta from Multifarious Projects Groups. Our next awardee is Mr. Sivapurapu Venkata Vijaya Krishna from IIT Maths Academy. Our next awardee is Dr. Vineet Daya from KR Mangalam University, Haryana. Our next awardee is Ms. Rubia B. Said Mustafa from IQRA's HJ Thim College, Jalgaon, Maharashtra. Our next body is Dr. Shalu Sehgal from Shulini Institute of Life Sciences and Business Management, Himachal Pradesh. So moving to our next category, to recognize the people who have contributed remarkably in the domain of research and development. Let us honor the preeminent researchers. So our first awardee is Professor Dr. Kalyani Raju from Shri Devraj URS Medical College, Kolar, Karnataka. Our next awardee is Dr. Shashank Degadwala from Sigma Institute of Engineering, Gujarat. Our next awardee is Dr. KVLN Acharyulu from Bapitala Engineering College, Andhra Pradesh. Our next awardee is Dr. Ramachandra CG from Presidency University, Bengaluru. Our next awardee is Engineer Sujit M from IFET College of Engineering, Tamil Nadu. Our next awardee is Dr. Madhuri Suresh Isave from Tilak College of Education, Pune, Maharashtra. Our next awardee is Dr. Satish Kumar Devi from Koneru Lakshmi Aha Education Foundation, Andhra Pradesh. Our next awardee is Professor Shoaib Ahmed from Al Zahra College for Women, Muscat. Our next awardee is Dr. L.K. Attri from Maharishi Markandeeshwar University, Haryana. Our next awardee is Ms. Bhuvneshwari Venkateshwaran from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Our next category is the group of people. Our next awardee is Dr. Balaji Devrajan from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology, Tamil Nadu. Who are growing to shape up into adroit researchers in the future. Let us recognize the preeminent young researchers. Our first awardee is Dr. Ekta Rana from Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Rajasthan. Our next awardee is Mr. Pushparaj Singh from Jaipur National University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Our next awardee is Dr. Vikas Kumar Sharma from Delhi Public School, Hisar, Haryana. Our next awardee is Mr. Gauhar Ahmed Wani from Central University of Kerala. Our next awardee is Mr. Prathamesh Sunil Nadkarni from Indra Institute of Management, Maharashtra. Now, it's time to recognize the people who are going to play a vital role in the research field in future. Let us honor our preeminent young scientists. Our first awardee is Professor Muhammad Firdaus Alam Sheikh from Mewar University, Rajasthan. Our next awardee is Dr. Mary Konik from PhD Food Microbiology, Karnataka. Our next awardee is Dr. Gokulnath Chandra Babu from VIT University, Vellore, Tamil Nadu. Our next awardee is Dr. Ishan Bhai Pandya from Akash Institute, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Our next awardee is Mr. Leander Corey from Lovely Professional University, Punjab. Our next awardee is Ms. Harpreet Kaur from Chandigarh University, Punjab. Our next awardee is Dr. Gulnar Parveen from Defence Research and Development Organisation, Delhi. Our next awardee is Professor Pankaj Madhulkar from Thakur Institute of Management Studies, Career Development and Research, Mumbai. Our next awardee is Mr. Kundan Kumar Jha from PRIST deemed to be University, Thanjavur, Tamil Nadu. Our next awardee is Mr. Leo Binoy from Nurul Islam Center for Higher Education, Tamil Nadu. Our next awardee is Dr. Hari Devasot from University College of Law, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Our last category of awardees is the people who will make. Our next awardee is Mr. Sharad Chandra Rajput from Government Engineering College, Jagdalpur, Chhattisgarh. In the future to make this world a better place through their endeavors. So let us recognize the preeminent young aspirants. Our first awardee is Ms. Jyoti Kumari from Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Central Agriculture University, Pusa, Bihar. Our next awardee is Mr. Prasang Harji Rank from Junagadh Agriculture University, Gujarat.
I would like to congratulate all the awardees and wish them all the best for their all future endeavors. Before moving to concluding part of the event, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize the individual who was live wired throughout this event and made this event possible through her wonderful management and IT skills. She is none other than Miss Guneet Kaura, who is well deserved for vIRSD Preeminent Young Aspirant Award 2020. Congratulations, Miss Guneet. We thank you for your constant support and wonderful effort.
All good things come to an end. Before concluding, I would like to invite Mr. Amit Kumar, who is an educator, researcher, trainer and environmentalist from India. He is a recipient of National ICT Award from Honorable President of India. He has also been selected for year 2020 to 21 Fulbright Distinguished Awards in Teaching Program for International Teachers hosted by Government of United States of America. Let us invite him for a concluding remark on vIRSD 2020.
Hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Center for Smart Modern Construction, Western Sydney University, Australia and Green ThinkerZ India for putting up this wonderful show in the form of virtual IRSD 2020 amid this COVID-19 period, and the effort you are doing for the educationists or the researchers or engineers is amazing. You are carrying the flag high, and you are always there to recognize the contribution of researchers, educators, engineers and the young aspirants around the globe. And you have always come up with the new things amid challenging times. And it's a well organized event, I would like to say. And I would like to appreciate the efforts of Professor Dr. Srinath Pereira and Engineer Tanveer Singh, and they have managed this show online in a very smooth manner, seamless way. And I would like to congratulate all the awardees who have contributed with their remarkable contribution amid this pandemic period. And this event has recognized their contributions too. I would like to appreciate the contribution of researchers who presented their papers during the conference. And in fact, this event being happening on the eve of Christmas is another blessing for us. So all in all, it was a wonderful event, and I'll be looking forward to be part of such events. And I would like to again sincerely appreciate the effort of these two organizations as they are working to achieve the sustainable development goals. And I would like to be associated with the organizations in the future too, to achieve the United Nations SDGs. Right. Thank you.